Hej, välkomna tillbaka. Idag ska vi prata om vad nog, väl och ju betyder på svenska. Today we're going to discuss what nog, väl, ju mean in Swedish. They're quite tricky actually. They exist here and there and sometimes you just don't understand what they mean. So today we're going to discuss what they are. Vi börjar med nog. Let's start with nog. Nog kan betyda maybe, probably. So it can mean maybe and probably in oral speech. Let's look at some examples. Det var nog han som tog din jacka igår. Det var nog han som tog din jacka igår. It was probably him who took your jacket yesterday. So nog here functions as maybe, but maybe you've already know previously we have a maybe in Swedish, which is kanske. But kanske is more like a serious maybe. So nog is more a casual maybe, probably, maybe. So nog in oral speech, you should put it in the same place as inte, as the negation, satsadverb. So satsadverb is inte, alltid, ibland, till exempel. De har samma plats som nog. The other meaning of nog is had something enough. If you put these together, like in English, had enough, I've had enough, it means you are fed up. So in Swedish you would say similarly, jag har haft nog. Jag har haft nog. With this combination together, it means I am fed up, I had it enough. But when you see nog alone without haft, it means probably, maybe. We have another word which is similar but not the same, which is noga. Noga is, in spoken language, an abbreviation for nogrann. Nogrann means to be careful. So noga means to do something carefully. Du måste göra det noga. Du måste läsa noga, till exempel. You need to do something carefully. Okej, nästa ord är väl. Väl är faktiskt lite svårt. Väl is actually quite difficult to understand because the word itself doesn't convey any substantial message. It's more of a voice it's conveying. Let's look at some example. So actually, väl is more equivalent to isn't it, unto in English when you want to make a rhetorical question. You're not really asking people something, but you're like, making a rhetorical move. Så till exempel, ska vi ta en fika på fredag? Vi har väl ett möte på fredag? Jo, men vi kan ju fika efter mötet. So here you see, vi har väl ett möte på fredag. In English you would say something like, we have a meeting on Friday, haven't we? Haven't we? It was like, it's a rhetorical question. You're not really asking this. It's more like, did you just forget? It's more like, we have this, haven't we? Something like that. A rhetorical question. Väl can also be used to describe an adjective, and then it means well. Till exempel, vi kan säga alla är välklädda. Alla var så välklädda på festen igår. Everybody was so well dressed in the party yesterday. And do also notice that in English we would say in the party, but in Swedish it's always på festen. På festen means you are there and dancing, and it's a package. So på festen. Sista ordet ju. The last word is you. You already noticed we actually have you in the previous conversation. Jo, men vi kan ju fika efter mötet. Vi kan ju fika efter mötet. Vad betyder ju här? What does you mean here? You means something like, obviously, in a sense that you are telling your partner who you're talking to, this is something you know. You know that, right? So this is something you know, obviously. So let's look at this dialogue. jag måste vakna tidigt imorgon. Varför? Det är ju helg. Jo, men jag ska gå på en morgonyoga. So varför? Det är ju helg. It means why? It's weekend. It's something, it's weekend. So it's this sense. So comparing to the previous word, väl is more like a rhetorical question, isn't it? Aren't you? Haven't we? But you is like, you know that, right? So you is this kind of feeling. I hope you understand me. Okay, you can also mean something else in combination with other words. We have a very important combination in Swedish, which is you and desto. You, desto together is equivalent to the plus adjective and the plus adjective structure in English. So, for example, in English you would say, the more you study, the more you know. For example, the more, the more. But in Swedish you would use ju, bla bla, desto, bla bla. Till exempel, ju mer du tränar, desto bättre blir du. The more you exercise, the better you will become. Ju mer du tränar, desto bättre blir du. But do think about the word order is quite different. It's quite different compared to English. So you need to study the second part more closely. The word order is different. But the adjective always exists at the same place. So study this, remember the structure, remember an example, and you can master this afterwards. Okay, nu är det dags för en test. Now it's time for a test to see if we understood everything. Så, Erik, du kan inte gå ut utan tröja. Det regnar. Which word to choose? Det regnar. Vilket ska vi använda? Nog, väl eller ju? Ja, här ska vi använda ju. Det regnar ju. It's obviously raining outside. Don't you see? It's obviously raining. Det regnar ju. Nästa. Eva, du kan låna mig 500 kronor. Jag är pank. Du kan låna mig 500 kronor. Jag är pank. Vilket ord ska vi använda? Which word should we use? Väl. Du kan väl låna mig 500 kronor. You can borrow me 500 crowns, can't you? Du kan väl. Jag är pank. Pank betyder I'm broke. Okej, sista övning, sista frågan. Såg du Eva någonstans? Hon sa att hon skulle komma idag. Jag vet inte exakt. Hon är nog sjuk. Hon är nog sjuk. She's probably sick. She's maybe sick. Of course, you can also use kanske här. You can use kanske here also. It's not wrong. But today we are exercising on nog, väl, ju. You can also use the verb tror, indicating you're guessing. Jag tror att hon är sjuk. It's also okay. But in oral language, maybe you would just use nog. Hon är nog sjuk. Okej, det är allting för idag. Tack så mycket att du har tittat på den här videon och jag hoppas att du förstår nog, väl, ju nu. Thank you so much for today. I hope you know nog, väl, ju now and don't hesitate to try it out tomorrow or this afternoon. Okej, tack så jättemycket. Hej då och vi ses.